We begin tonight with two messages to basketball commentators everywhere. If you think it is utterly ridiculously impossible that the air conditioning might have been turned off in San Antonio deliberately, you're not only naive, but you know nothing of NBA history because the Celtics once did this. And if you think LeBron James's exit due to cramps impugns his reputation or brands him soft or earns him a new nickname, you're not only an imbecile, but you know nothing of NBA history because Michael Jordan once did this. The saga of two acronyms, HVAC and NBA first, but let me preface all this with a declaration. I don't care how this series turns out. I don't care about LeBron James. I don't care about Tim Duncan. I don't care if it was the heat and not the humidity after all. I don't care if the NBA goes out of business this summer and is replaced with a box lacrosse league. If you do, good for you. I begrudge no sports fan what he enjoys. I'm just trying to emphasize I don't have a rooting interest here. I'm just analyzing what I see based on what I know. And I worked 3 NBA finals in Boston, each of them Celtics-Lakers. 1984, I was with a Boston TV station. 1985 and 1987, I was with an LA TV station. Those epic nights at Boston Garden when it soared past 90 degrees indoors and the world glazed over before your eyes as if somebody was smothering you with gauze. I was there. And I got to know a lot of people who worked at Boston Garden, and one of them physically showed me not just how they could shut off the rudimentary ventilation that could keep the place from getting warmer as a June game wore on, but how they could also actually fire up the heating system just enough to accelerate the process. The thermodynamics of the thing were and are beyond my grasp, but the heat was just a matter of throwing up a couple of big switches while killing the airflow. Didn't even require closing the series of huge dormer windows you see there, the ones nearest the intake for the garden air ducts. They only had to change the angle at which they were hooked open. The guy who explained it to me said thousands of people walk past those windows every game, and he said this proudly, they'll never know what happens when we tilt these. Why did the Celtics do it? Was the end game getting Magic Johnson to cramp up? Of course not. That would be an unplanned bonus if it ever happened. The Lakers ran a fast break offense, the famed Showtime. The Celtics ran Larry Bird and Parrish and McHale. Making both teams suffer equally, slowing them down the same amount, meant an automatic edge to the Celtics. In those 3 finals, the Celtics only beat the far superior LA teams a total of 8 games. 6 of those wins were at Boston Garden. Does that prove the Spurs deliberately shut off the AC in Game 1? Of course not. But it underscores that stuff like that can and has been done. Just as fierce airflow can be manipulated inside domed baseball stadiums, just as fake crowd noise can be created in an NBA arena or even outdoors at an NFL stadium. As long as somebody thinks it will hurt the visiting team more than it hurts the home team, it's a plan. As an aside, probably a poor idea for so many of the Spurs players who have boasted afterwards about how their experiences made it easier for them to survive the lack of AC. Which brings us to LeBron James, now to be forever remembered as the only superstar who ever asked to come out of the NBA Finals due to a cramp. Well, only him and Michael Jordan. Game 4 of the 1997 Finals against Utah, and the Chicago training staff has just accidentally poisoned its players. It has filled the Gatorade containers with GatorLoad, a different drink used to add carbs quickly, like drinking baked potatoes, somebody said. Several Bulls players experienced severe cramps. Quote, Jordan even asked to sit for a time, something he never did at a key moment. So we remember Michael Jordan and dock his reputation for being the big wimp who begged out of the finals due to cramps. No, we do not. Because A, the next time you get severe cramps, just try running with them for a while and then call me after you stop your hysterical crying. And B, the next game in those finals in 1997 was Jordan's flu game. Anybody think of Kirk Gibson as some kind of softie? He came out of the 4th inning, of Game 7 of the NLCS in 1988. Oh, he was complaining about his legs again. In fact, he had a left hamstring strained enough to cause a limp, and his right knee went bad, and he had a virus too. And then Gibson, the most valuable player in the league, didn't even start Game 1 of the World Series. Gee, how did that turn out? What about Mickey Mantle? Was he mocked because he could only struggle through 6 appearances in the 1961 World Series, 6 plate appearances? Even after it was revealed that Mantle had developed an abscess in his hip because he'd been dumb enough to get a vitamin injection from a quack doctor, did anybody abuse Mantle the way LeBron James was abused Thursday and Friday? And then there was the biggest wimp in sports history. Willis Reed falls to the court 10 minutes into Game 5 of the 1970 Finals. Nothing broken. There's no blood. He doesn't come back. 2 days later, with the Knicks a win away from their first championship, he doesn't play at all because of a thigh bruise? The Knicks lost by 22, and New York was told to brace its collective self, that Reed wouldn't play in Game 7 either. And of course, we remember Willis Reed as the softest grape in the bunch. Except for, Game 7 when he came out and scored the first 2 baskets and lasted just long enough to kill the Lakers. And it turned out it wasn't a bruised thigh he'd been playing with. It was a torn thigh muscle. For all I know, LeBron James is going to average 8 points a game for the rest of the finals. And he'll have to take next season off for an emotional and spiritual retreat. For all I know, the entire air conditioning system in a world-class indoor arena that was built all the way back in 2002 did suddenly just happen to fail the night the NBA Finals opened with the visiting superstar having a history of heat-related cramps. It better be that way. LeBron had better be finished, and the AC better have been an accident. If not, the people who will go down in history with the ruined reputations will not be LeBron James. They will be his critics.